Hey there, come closer to the fire and imagine waking before the world learned how to hurry. Tonight we are going back to a morning so old that no bell calls it morning. No clock divides it. No road hums beyond the wall. And no little glowing screen waits to pull the mind away from the body. A human opens their eyes in a rock shelter, roughly 40,000 years ago. And for a moment, the great mystery is not a mammoth hunt, not a painted cave, not a ritual under the earth, but something quieter. What did that person actually do all day when there were no offices, no cities, no money, no deadlines, and perhaps more empty time than most of us know how to hold? If this slow walk into the ancient human day keeps you company, leave a like and subscribe, so the next quiet history can find you by the fire too. Now let the room dim a little. Let your breath settle. Nothing forced, nothing dramatic, just a little softer. We are not rushing into danger tonight. We are entering the ordinary life of people who are fully human, with the same minds that dream and worry and laugh inside us now, only living beneath a sky that still decided almost everything. The first thing you feel is the cold. Not a killing cold. Not yet. Only that pale gray chill that settles before sunrise and makes the body want to stay under hides for a few more breaths. You are lying on dried grasses, layered with skins, close to other bodies. Very close. Not because everyone is being sentimental about it, though affection is there too, but because warmth is not wasted in a world where the night can take it from you without apology. Someone beside you exhales. A child shifts in sleep. A shoulder presses against your arm. The ground underneath is not soft the way a modern bed is soft, but it has been prepared. Stones cleared away. Grasses gathered. Hides laid down. The bedding smells of animal skin, smoke, dry plants, dust, and human nearness. It is not the smell of a hotel room. It is older than that. It is the smell of bodies that trust one another enough to sleep in the same dark. The fire is almost out, but not quite. That matters. In the center of the shelter, embers glow under ash. One person is already awake, because someone is almost always awake. Paleolithic sleep was not always one long sealed block from night until dawn. People often drifted in and out of rest, waking in the deep dark to tend fire, whisper, check on children, listen to wind, or simply lie with their thoughts while the stars moved beyond the cave mouth. That middle waking was not failure. It was life. The person near the embers leans forward and feeds the fire carefully. A stick is added. Then another. Not too much, because fuel has to be gathered, and even flame has a cost. The ash stirs. A small red eye opens. Then a tongue of light catches on dry wood. The shelter brightens just enough for shapes to return. Knees under hides. A hand resting on a sleeping child. A basket leaning against stone. A spear shaft near the wall. A dog-like animal, perhaps. Or an early companion at the edge of the warmth, lifting its head at the small change in sound. Fire is not decoration. Fire is a boundary. Inside it, warmth, cooked food, light, stories. safety. Beyond it, darkness, cold, teeth, uncertainty. To let it die would not be a little inconvenience. It would be work, risk, and perhaps fear. So people keep it alive. They carry embers when they move. They shelter coals from rain and wind. They take turns, formally or informally, because survival is made of such small responsibilities. A person who feeds the fire may not look heroic, but the whole sleeping camp depends on that hand. More people begin to wake. Children first. Of course, children have never been respectful of slow transitions. One little voice murmurs. Another child rolls too close to someone and gets gently shifted back. A mother, or aunt, or older sibling makes a soft sound that means wait, stay near, not yet. The child understands the tone more than the words and waits for perhaps the length of 3 breaths, which is generous by the standards of children everywhere. Then there is movement. Small feet. A sleepy complaint. A laugh quickly covered by a hand because dawn is still fragile. The older children crawl toward the fire, hair tangled, eyes bright. Already returning to the world with the unfair energy, children seem to borrow from secret sources. Adults wake more slowly. There is no alarm, no being late, no job to reach by a fixed hour. The day is governed by light, hunger, weather, the mood of the group, the season, the presence of animals, the ripeness of plants, the condition of tools, the memory of yesterday. The sun does not care if anyone is efficient. It only rises. Honestly, I have always found that part strangely moving. The ancient morning did not attack the body. It invited it back. Outside, the world has been moving all night. Someone steps toward the shelter mouth to look. The gray light is stronger now, spreading over stone, scrub, trees, or open plain, depending on where this band has made camp. The air carries information. Dampness, smoke, animal musk, salt if the coast is near, green growth if spring has come, dry dust if the season has turned. The watcher does not only see the morning, they read it. Are there tracks near the camp that were not there yesterday? Has a predator passed close? Did the wind change? Are birds calling normally, or are they startled into alarm? Are the clouds lying in a way that suggests rain later? Is the ground wet from dew or from something crossing after midnight? Is the world calm or only pretending? Early humans were readers of signs in ways most of us have almost forgotten. Back near the fire, voices begin. At first, low, then warmer. Someone mentions a dream. Dreams may not be dismissed as private nonsense. In many foraging worlds, and likely in very old human worlds too, dreams could be warnings, visits, meanings, or at least things worth sharing. A vivid dream might change the mood of a morning. It might be laughed at, or remembered, or tucked away with the other signs of the day. Someone else speaks of berries almost ripe near a ridge. Another has seen deer tracks by the river. An older woman thinks the roots near the wet ground may be ready. A young man wants to check a place where flint can be found. No one is barking orders. Leadership here is more like gravity than command. It gathers around knowledge. The person who knows the plants is followed when plants matter. The best tracker is trusted when tracks matter. The elder who remembers a dangerous storm from long ago is listened to when the sky looks wrong. This is not a tiny democracy with speeches. It is a living group finding its direction through memory, need, and trust. The children are playing now. Not a formal game, not yet. More like a tangle of small bodies near the warmth. One pushes another. Another tries to balance on a stone. A smaller child copies the older ones and immediately does it badly, which is a tradition much older than agriculture. Adults watch with half attention. Let them run. Stop them from going too far. Let them fall a little. Stop them from falling badly. Childhood is practice, disguised as chaos. Their play is not separate from survival. Nearby, tools are checked. A spear point is pressed gently to see if it still sits firm in its shaft. A basket is turned and inspected for weak fibers. A scraper is lifted, its edge dulled from hide work. A cord is pulled between fingers. These are not chores in the modern, irritated sense. They are the texture of living. The day begins not with a schedule, but with hands making sure the world still holds. The stomach begins to speak too. Not loudly yet. Just a reminder. Food will matter soon, but not in the way our modern word breakfast suggests. Nobody has a set hour. Nobody is pouring cereal into a bowl. People eat when food is present, when hunger asks, when opportunity appears. A little leftover meat, a handful of nuts, a root warmed near embers, berries dried from a better season. The day is not divided into tidy boxes. It flows. Still, before eating, the group is already becoming itself again. That may be the real beginning of the Paleolithic day. Not sunrise, not food, reassembly. Through the night, everyone has drifted into private darkness. Dreams, half waking, sleep, listening. At dawn, the band returns to itself. Voices are counted without counting. The baby is there. The elder is there. The hunter with the sore ankle is there. The child who coughed in the night is warmer now. The fire has survived. The camp has survived. The world outside has not taken anyone since darkness fell. There is comfort in that. A comfort so old it still lives somewhere under our modern skin. The source of the old fear was never only hunger. It was separation. To be alone in such a world was to become smaller than the night. To be with the band was to be held inside a web of eyes, hands, warnings, jokes, obligation, and shared food. Humans did not survive because each person was stronger than the dark. They survived because they built little circles of warmth inside it. The gray light turns silver. The shelter mouth brightens. Smoke curls up and drifts outward. It carries the smell of the night into the morning. People shift closer to the warmth or away from it, according to age, rank, habit, and mood. Someone makes a joke. Someone groans. Someone else laughs, because even 40,000 years ago, morning humor was probably not always sophisticated. That is good. It means they were people, not museum figures, not silhouettes holding spears against a sunset. People, sleepy, hungry, observant, irritated, tender, amused, careful. People with hair tangled by bedding, skin marked by smoke, and minds already filling with the day. The old stereotype says their lives were only desperate. The morning says otherwise. There is danger. Yes. Infection, injury, bad weather, failed hunts, childbirth, predators, hunger. But the morning says danger is not the whole day. There is warmth too. There is slowness. There are children who cannot wait. There is a fire that did not die. A human day begins. Not with a command. With breath, smoke, cold stone, and the small relief of finding everyone still together. Soon the hunger will sharpen. Soon hands will reach for meat, nuts, berries, roots, whatever the land and yesterday have left within reach. Soon the gathering parties will form, and the hunters will consider old tracks by the river. But for now, the morning is still soft around the edges. The band sits near the fire. The sun lifts. The ancient world waits, not empty, not kind, not cruel exactly, but alive with signs. And the people who know how to read it begin to listen. Hunger arrives quietly at first. It does not rule the camp like a tyrant. It simply takes its place among the morning signs. A child reaches for a pouch too early and is gently pulled back. Someone checks the coals. Someone else brings a piece of yesterday closer to the fire. The air warms and the smell changes. Smoke, old meat, damp hide, crushed nuts, roots, ash, and the faint sweetness of berries saved from a season when the world was kinder. There is no breakfast table, no bowl waiting on a shelf, no fixed hour when the day says now eat. Early humans did not live inside meal times the way we do. They ate when food was available, when hunger pressed, when work allowed, when the body asked, and the group had something to answer with. Some mornings there might be meat left from a hunt. Some mornings only nuts, roots, berries, seeds, insects, or a strip of dried flesh softened near the fire. Some mornings, perhaps, very little. But the ordinary day is not always starvation. That old picture is too simple and too grim. The evidence for this kind of variety is quiet, but strong. Ancient teeth can preserve tiny starch grains in hardened plaque. Fossilized waste can hold seeds, fibers, pollen, and traces of plants that vanished from the meal itself long ago. It is not romantic evidence. It is museum hush evidence. Dust, microscope, patience. But it tells the same story. Early humans were not eating one thing. They were reading entire landscapes through the stomach. A coastal camp might wake to shellfish and seaweed. A forest camp might know hazelnuts, mushrooms, deer, roots, and berries. A river camp might live by fish, waterfowl, cattails, eggs, and animals that came down to drink. The menu changed with season and place. That flexibility was survival. If one food failed, another might still be waiting in bark, mud, shell, or branch. Sharing makes the meal safer than any private stash. A person who gives today may receive tomorrow. A person who hides food is remembered, and memory in a small band can be sharper than a knife. No one needs a written law to know who was generous when hunger came close. You reach for a strip of meat. It came from an animal taken 2 days ago, wrapped in its own hide and kept in the cool back of the shelter. It is not tender. It is not seasoned for pleasure in the modern way. It asks work from the jaw. The teeth grip and pull. The fibers resist. Fat softens slightly near the warmth of the fire. It tastes strong, smoky, a little wild, perhaps already moving toward that edge where food must be eaten before the day grows warmer. People knew that edge well. They did not need labels or dates. They knew by smell, texture, color, flies, weather, the coolness of stone, the judgment of elders who had eaten safely through more seasons than anyone else. Food knowledge was body knowledge. It lived in the hands, nose, mouth, memory, and stories. Beside the meat sits a bark container, folded and sealed with resin. Inside are hazelnuts, gathered days earlier. A child takes one and tries to crack it. Too hard. The shell slips. An older child smirks, which is apparently another ancient human invention. An adult takes the nut, places it at the right angle, applies pressure with a stone, and the shell opens without crushing the sweet part inside. The child watches. That is school. No board. No lesson title. No one saying, "Today we learn nut cracking." Just hunger, patience, and a pair of hands showing another pair of hands how not to waste food. The nuts are rich and oily. They fill the mouth more gently than meat. Nearby, someone passes dried berries. They are wrinkled, dark, concentrated by sun, little memories of late summer. The sweetness reaches the tongue quickly. A few children come closer at once, because children have always understood sugar before philosophy. The real treasure rests near the embers. Roots. Cattail roots, perhaps, or other starchy tubers from wet ground, dug yesterday by someone who knew exactly where to place a digging stick. Rao. Such foods could be tough, bitter, even harmful. Cooked slowly, they become safe. The roots spent the night near warmth, not in fierce flame, but close enough for heat to enter and change them. Fire has been working while people slept. That is one of the quiet miracles of human life. Fire does not only keep away night, it transforms the world into food. A root is pulled from the ash edge. Steam rises faintly. Fingers toss it from hand to hand until it can be held. The outer skin peels away. Inside, the flesh is soft, pâle, faintly sweet, not a feast by the standards of a modern bakery. No icing, no little paper wrapper, No smiling cartoon grain on a box, but the body knows its value. Starch, warmth, energy. A plant that might have hurt the stomach yesterday has become breakfast because someone understood heat. This knowledge did not fall from the sky in one perfect moment. It accumulated. Someone learned that a root made people sick when eaten raw. Someone else tried roasting it. Someone noticed that long heat softened it better than quick flame. Someone remembered. Someone told a child. That child became old. The knowledge moved forward, root by root, fire by fire. The morning meal is not formal. People eat sitting, standing, crouching, walking, repairing tools, handing bites to children, speaking between mouthfuls. Food moves through the group according to rules no one needs to recite. A hunter who brought meat yesterday does not simply keep it all. A gatherer who found roots does not hide them away. The logic is social insurance. Today I share. Tomorrow you share. When my luck fails, your luck feeds me. When your child is hungry, my pouch opens. Children drift from adult to adult like small opportunistic birds. One gets a berry. Another is given a torn piece of roasted root. A toddler chews on something tough and mostly harmless, while a mother works with both hands. Nobody seems to own a child entirely in these moments. Care spreads. A grandmother wipes a mouth. An aunt turns a hot root. A cousin distracts a restless little one by making a beetle walk across a flat stone, which may not be official pedagogy, but it works. Around the fire, plans begin to form more clearly. Someone mentions the northern grove, where the nuts should be ready. Another remembers a patch of berries almost ripe, but not quite. The older woman thinks roots near the creek will be worth digging. Someone else saw deer tracks yesterday by the water. The hunters listen. They do not leap up immediately, because hunting is not a heroic impulse that begins every morning. It is risk, planning, distance, and often disappointment. Plants stay where they are. Animals do not. The source makes this point strongly, and it matters. Gathering is not lesser work. It is the reliable backbone. In many environments, plants, roots, tubers, nuts, seeds, berries, leaves, and other gathered foods likely supplied most daily calories. Hunting was important. Sometimes spectacular, sometimes life-changing, but it was not the whole story. The dramatic hunt is what later imaginations love. The basket of roots is what keeps the camp fed while imagination waits for drama. That may be the quiet joke of prehistory. The spear gets the painting. The digging stick saves dinner. The meal also carries knowledge forward. Every cracked shell, every peeled root, every warning about a berry is a small lesson given without ceremony. The youngest ones learn by reaching, failing, being corrected, and trying again. The elders do not need to make the morning solemn. The world is already serious enough. The morning has no single center. That is important. Modern life often gathers itself around tasks with names. Breakfast, commute, work, meeting. Lunch. The Paleolithic morning flows through many overlapping acts. Eating, planning, teaching, repairing, watching children, checking weather, sharing dreams, warming hands, remembering places, touching tools, laughing, listening. The group is not idle. It is also not rushed. You can feel the difference in the body. No minute hand presses the chest. No little alarm lives in the pocket. Hunger matters. Weather matters. Injury matters. Animal movement matters. The sun matters. But nobody is late in the abstract sense. There is only the day and what the day allows. Somewhere near the shelter mouth, the watcher returns with information. No fresh predator tracks close by. Clouds look light. Wind is shifting, but not badly. Birds are calm. The day may be good for gathering. Perhaps a few will check the river signs. Perhaps hunters will follow tracks later. Nothing is certain. The group adjusts. No one writes a plan. It exists in conversation, gesture, memory, and agreement. Enough is a beautiful word in this world. Not abundance. Not hunger. Enough. Enough to walk. Enough to carry. Enough to think. Enough to teach a child the difference between a safe route and a deadly one. Enough to laugh because someone burned their fingers on a route they were specifically warned was hot. A little humor does not make survival less serious. It makes seriousness bearable. The first gathering party begins to form. Baskets are nested together. A digging stick is lifted, its end hardened by fire and smoothed by many hands. A leather pouch is tied. A child is secured against a back in softened hide. An older girl carries a smaller basket, proud of it, even though everyone knows it will be filled halfway with useful food and halfway with interesting stones, unless supervised. The expert elder looks toward the trees. She does not need a map. The map is inside her. Oak grove to the north. Creek bed beyond the slope. Wet ground where cattails grow. A fallen log where mushrooms might appear after rain. A place where red berries ripen after the first cooler nights. A dangerous patch where the wrong leaves look too much like the right ones unless you count the veins carefully. The land is not empty space between destinations. It is a library. Every plant is a page. Every season is an index. Every story is a warning written in memory. As the group steps away from the shelter, the camp remains behind, still smoking, still murmuring, still alive. Some will stay to work hides or tools. Some may scout tracks. Some will watch children. Some will rest because rest is part of survival too. The day does not belong to one dramatic task. It opens like a wide hand. The gatherers move into the morning. Footsteps soften in grass. The child on the back grows quiet. The elder points with her digging stick, and the younger ones look where she looks. The food that will feed the evening is already hidden in soil. Branch, bark, shell, and leaf. The ancient human day has truly begun, not with a race against time, but with attention. The gathering party moves without hurry, but not without purpose. That is an important difference. To a modern eye, a small group walking through grass with baskets and digging sticks may look relaxed, almost aimless. But every step is reading. Every pause has meaning. The elder at the front does not stare at the ground like someone lost. She glances, listens, smells, remembers. The landscape is not scenery to her. It is a living storehouse with seasons, moods, warnings, and debts. The morning mist rests low over the grass. It dampens anklets. It beads on leaves. It darkens the bark of trees and makes spider webs visible between stems, each one holding tiny drops like a necklace made for no human purpose. The child carried on a back reaches toward one, and the adult shifts gently away before the little fingers destroy it. Not because the web is sacred in any formal sense, perhaps, but because there is no need to break what is not in the way. Early humans did not walk through a dead landscape. They walked through relationship. The elder stops beside a patch of plants near the slope. The younger woman beside her kneels. A child leans forward, eager to see what matters. The plants look ordinary. Green leaves, low stems, nothing dramatic. But the elder touches one leaf and turns it slightly, showing the veins. Then she touches another plant nearby, similar at a careless glance, different in the pattern that matters. One can be eaten after preparation. The other can make a person sick, or worse. There is no lecture, only the leaf in the hand. The child watches. That is how knowledge enters. Not as a list in the air, but as a shape remembered by the fingers, a warning tied to a smell, a story tied to a cousin who once ate too much of the wrong thing and learned a hard lesson. The mind keeps danger better when danger has a face. So an elder may tell the plant story again, perhaps with a little humor, perhaps with the kind of grim detail that makes children laugh and remember at the same time. Gathering has often been underestimated because it lacks the drama of the hunt. There is no charge of antlers, no spear thrown into a tense silence, no great animal falling at the edge of the valley, but roots, nuts, seeds, berries, leaves, tubers, mushrooms, eggs, honey, shellfish, and small creatures can keep a band alive through ordinary days. The spectacular meal may become a story. The reliable meal becomes a life. The elder lifts a digging stick. It is simple, but not crude. Its point has been hardened by fire. Its grip is smoothed by use. It has entered soil hundreds of times. The hand knows its balance. She presses it into the ground near the plant base, not straight down, not too close, but at an angle that loosens earth without cutting the hidden root. The soil resists, then gives. Dark dampness opens. A smell rises. Cool, mineral, alive. A tuber appears, small at first, then larger as the earth falls away. The child makes a satisfied little sound, as if personally responsible for the plant having existed underground. The elder smiles but does not praise too much. Too much praise makes children careless, and carelessness near plants can be costly. She places the tuber in a basket and points to the next one. The younger woman digs. Her first attempt cuts too close. The tuber splits. White flesh shows through the soil. She makes a small sound of irritation. The elder says something mild. Try from farther out. Let the earth loosen before you pull. Do not fight the root. Persuade it. That is good advice for plants. Perhaps for people too. The group moves on. Birdsong begins to thicken in the trees. A jay or crow complains from a branch. The sun warms the mist until it lifts from the grass and disappears. A breeze comes through, carrying the scent of leaves, bark, damp soil, and something faintly sweet. The elder turns toward it. Her nose catches what the others have not yet noticed. Berries. Not many. Not enough to feast, but enough. The bushes grow at the edge of a clearing. Some berries are ready, dark and soft. Others are red, but not ripe. Others are too pale, too hard, still waiting for another day. The gatherers take only what should be taken. A careless hand strips everything and leaves less for tomorrow. Less for birds, less for the plant to continue its own work. A skilled hand harvests as if the future is present. Berries stain the fingers. The child eats too quickly and is told to slow down. Another child places the first handful into the basket with exaggerated seriousness. Then quietly slips one into the mouth and looks around with a face so innocent it becomes useless. An adult sees and lets it pass. Some thefts are smaller than the smile they create. The sweetness is sharp, bright, almost surprising after roots and meat. A berry is a small event. It bursts between teeth. It brings sunlight into the mouth. It carries water, sugar, seeds, and the memory of a season. To gather berries is to know timing. Come too early, and they are sour. Come too late, and animals have eaten them or they have fallen. Come at the right day, and the bush gives generously. The group reaches a stream. The water is shallow, clear over small stones, cold enough to wake the skin. The gatherers step carefully. Wet stones can betray the foot. A basket is passed from one hand to another. The child on the back squeals when the water touches dangling toes. The adult laughs softly, then tightens the carrying strap. Along the stream grow plants that like wet ground. Some roots can be eaten. Some leaves may be used for wrapping. Some fibers can become cord. Some plants have medicinal value. Some only look useful. The elder points again. This one for food. This one for pain. This one for swelling. This one not today. Too young. This one never. Unless you want your stomach to argue with you all night. And your stomach usually wins. A little humor helps a warning stay. The younger ones laugh. They remember. A fallen log near the water holds mushrooms. Now the mood changes. Not fear exactly, but sharper care. Mushrooms are not casual food. Some nourish, some harm. Some look like cousins and behave like enemies. The elder kneels and studies the underside. Color, yields, smell, place, season. What tree has fallen? How damp the bark feels. She takes some and leaves others untouched. The child asks, why? The elder answers by telling a story. Perhaps about a man from another band who trusted his hunger more than his eyes. Perhaps about a spirit who hides poison in beautiful caps. Perhaps about a time when one family grew sick because they gathered after rain without waiting. The facts matter, but the story gives them teeth. A child may forget a rule. A child remembers the man in the story who had a bad night and never made that mistake again. Gathering is full of invisible danger. That is why it is skilled work. The basket grows heavier. Roots at the bottom. Berries wrapped in leaves so they do not crush. Mushrooms separated carefully. A few nuts found under trees. A handful of edible greens. A strip of bark useful for later. A small stone, the child insists, is important because it looks like an animal, which proves that even in the Paleolithic, children probably contributed to the transport of useless but emotionally necessary objects. The sun is higher now. The work has taken hours, but not the whole day. This is another important correction to the old picture. Many hunter-gatherer comparisons suggest that subsistence work could occupy only part of the day, often several hours rather than every waking moment, though this varied widely by climate, season, group, and need. Some days were hard. Some seasons were lean. Some disasters overturned all expectations. But ordinary life was not always a frantic race from hunger to hunger. There was time. Not endless ease, but time. Time to sit. Time to make tools. Time to speak. Time to watch children play. Time to decorate. Time to tell the story again so the plant warning would not be lost. Time to notice the flight of birds and the shape of clouds without turning every moment into production. The gatherers rest near the stream. No one calls it a break, as if the day must justify the pause. They simply sit because bodies ask for sitting. Feet are cooled in water. Baskets are set in shade. Someone drinks from cupped hands. Someone checks a scratch on a child's knee. Someone else leans back against a tree and closes the eyes, not fully sleeping, just letting the world pass over the face. If you were standing here with me, you might feel how different this kind of work is from modern busyness. It is effort. Yes, the baskets are heavy. The legs ache. Mist soaked the skin. The digging stick rubbed the palm. But the work is braided with attention, teaching, taste, rest, and landscape. The clock is absent. The body and the day negotiate directly. Soon they turn back. The return journey feels longer because food now has weight. The straps pull at shoulders. The baskets knock gently against hips. The child who insisted on walking has decided that ancient independence is overrated and wants to be carried. An adult refuses for a while. The child complains. Another adult takes the child for a short distance. Social life is often just the careful distribution of burdens before anyone becomes too bitter. Near camp, smoke appears first, then voices, then the fire. The gatherers enter with the ordinary pride of people who have brought back what will keep others fed. No trumpet announces them. No heroic chant is necessary. But everyone notices the baskets. Children come close. Someone lifts the leaves covering the berries. A hand reaches and is slapped away lightly. Later. Not now. Which, as every child knows, is one of the most tragic phrases ever invented. The food is sorted. Some roots will be roasted. Some greens eaten soon. Some berries shared. Some mushrooms inspected again by someone else, because care does not end when the basket arrives. A few items are stored. A few are kept for the evening meal. The elder sits near the fire and stretches her hands. Her work has no monument. No cave wall will show her with a basket. But without her, the day would be poorer, and perhaps dangerous. That is the truth the morning has taught. Hunting may become legend. Gathering becomes continuity. The band eats because someone knew where the roots hid, which leaf lied, when the berries darkened, and how to bring the landscape home without emptying it. As the sun moves higher, the camp settles into a different rhythm. Some will prepare food. Some will repair tools. Some will rest. And somewhere near the river, fresh tracks may be waiting, pressed into mud by hooves that passed at dawn, drawing the patient eyes of hunters toward another kind of work. The tracks near the river do not announce themselves. They wait in mud. A young hunter sees them first, then stops without speaking. His hand lifts, palm open, and the others pause behind him. The morning heat has not yet hardened the bank. In the soft earth, a hoof has pressed a clean crescent. Beside it, another mark, shallower, a loosened pebble, a blade of grass bent the wrong way. To an untrained eye, the riverbank is only trampled ground. To the trackers, it is a sentence. An antelope passed here. Not long ago. The group kneels around the sign. No one crowds too close. A track can be spoiled by curiosity, and curiosity has ruined many things in human history. Not only muddy footprints. An older hunter studies the edge of the print. Still sharp, not filled with wind-blown dust. The animal was moving at a steady pace, not frightened. The depth says something about weight. The spacing says something about speed. Nearby, smaller tracks suggest more than one animal, perhaps a herd moving toward open ground. Hunting begins with reading. Not running. Not shouting. Reading. The hunters return briefly toward camp to gather what they need. Spears are checked again. Points are touched carefully. Not with the foolish confidence of someone testing a knife in a kitchen, but with the respect due to an edge that may decide whether the day ends in food or injury. Flint points sit in shafts, fixed with resin, sinew, and patience. Some groups in different times and places used spear throwers, called atlatls by later archaeologists from another cultural word, though the exact tools vary by region and period. Here, we keep it simple. Spears. Points. Wood. Cord. Breath. A young woman checks one spear and frowns. The binding is not right. She heats the resin near coals until it softens, then presses the point deeper into place. A man makes a joke that the spear is now better behaved than its owner. She does not look up. Someone laughs anyway. Humor travels even where danger waits, perhaps especially there. The hunters prepare quietly. They are not all the strongest people. They are the ones suited to the task. Some are excellent trackers. Some have endurance. Some know animal behavior. Some throw well. Some remain calm when the moment tightens. In deep prehistory, labor may have been more flexible than modern stereotypes admit. Skill matters when hunger is at stake. A body that can help will help. Before leaving, someone touches the spear point to the ground. Perhaps a gesture of respect. Perhaps only habit. We cannot know. Some scholars argue that hunting rituals are visible in later traditions and may reach far back into human life. Others warn us not to project too much. So we remain careful. But it is easy to believe that people who depended on animals also thought deeply about animals. To take life is never only a mechanical act when your own life depends on the taking. The hunters move out. At the river, the trackers pick up the trail again. The air is warmer now. Flies gather near damp patches. The river moves softly, brown-green under the light. Reeds whisper. A frog drops into water with a small plop that startles one of the younger hunters more than anyone will let him forget later. The older tracker glances back. No words. Only that look which says, "The frog is unlikely to eat you." They follow the tracks away from the water. Across open ground, signs become harder. Hoof marks fade where soil dries. The herd has moved through grass, leaving only subtle bends. A twig is broken at knee height. A scatter of droppings is still moist enough to matter. The smell of animals hangs faintly near a patch of shrubs. The trackers move slowly, then faster, then slowly again. The hunt is rhythm. Wait. Read. Move. Pause. Listen. Somewhere ahead, the herd is alive, watchful, carrying its own knowledge. Antelope know wind. They know distance. They know the shape of danger. They do not think like humans, but they are not stupid. A prey animal survives by being difficult to surprise. Every ear, nostril, woof, and nerve belongs to the argument. The hunters keep downwind. When the wind shifts, they stop. One older man lifts dust and lets it fall from his fingers. The dust drifts toward the wrong place. He waits. Everyone waits. The young hunter wants to move, and his body shows it, even if his mouth does not. Patience is often the hardest skill, because it feels like doing nothing while the world moves without you. The older woman beside him touches his arm lightly. Not yet. Not yet is another ancient sentence. Finally, the wind steadies. They continue. The hunters see the herd at last. Not close. Down in a shallow valley, pale backs moving between scrub and open ground. The animals graze, lift their heads, lower them, shift, listen. Sunlight flickers along horns. One animal limps slightly. Another is young. The group watches from cover, breathing through the nose, bodies suddenly quiet. This is the moment when hunger, respect, calculation, and fear come together. No one rushes. They look for the animal that can be taken without breaking the group. A reckless attack may wound and lose. A poor choice may endanger a hunter. A desperate chase may waste strength. The hunt is never only the animal against humans. It is humans against mistake. The plan is made in gestures. Two circle wide. One stays back. One moves toward the low ground. The others wait. The first movement begins. A stone shifts under one foot, and the hunter freezes. The herd does not lift. The wind holds. A fly crawls along an arm and is ignored, which may be the greatest proof of discipline. Step by step, the group enters the tension of the valley. Then the herd senses something. No dramatic music. Only heads rising. Ears turning. A ripple of alarm. The animals move. The hunters move too. For a short time, the world becomes breath and dust. Feet strike ground. Spears are carried ready. The limping animal turns wrong. The slope narrows. A hunter appears where it expected open space. Another voice calls. Not loud, but sharp enough. The animal veers. The final act is brief. We will keep it soft. A spear flies. Another follows. The animal stumbles, then settles into stillness. The hunters approach with care, because a wounded animal can still harm, and because haste at the end is disrespectful to everything the hunt has required. For a moment, no one speaks. A hand rests on the animal. Perhaps thanks is given. Perhaps silence is the thanks. We cannot enter their minds with certainty, but we can understand that an animal who feeds a band is not a meaningless object. It is meat, hide, sinew, bone, fat, tool, clothing, story, and memory. It is also a life that moved through the valley that morning with its own desire to continue. The hunters begin the work. This part is skilled too. The kill does not become food by itself. It must be opened, divided, protected from scavengers, cooled if possible, carried home. Blades are used carefully. Hide is kept for future work. Sinew is saved for binding and sewing. Bones may become tools. Marrow is precious. Fat is valued. Organs may be eaten quickly, depending on custom and need. Nothing useful is treated lightly. A small fire is made nearby. Not a great blaze, just enough smoke and presence to keep insects and some scavengers back. The smell of blood is in the air, but we do not linger on it. We linger on hands. One hand holding hide, taut. Another cutting. Another sorting. Another wiping a blade on grass. Another keeping watch toward the ridge. The work is calm, because panic wastes food. The load home is heavy. Meat is wrapped. Hide is folded. Tools are gathered. The hunters distribute weight according to strength and injury. The youngest wants to carry more than is sensible. The oldest says no with a tone that ends the matter. Someone jokes that pride is not very nutritious, and the young one carries a smaller bundle with the wounded dignity of youth. The walk back is slower. Weight changes the body. Shoulders pull forward. Straps bite. Hands grow slick. The sun lowers slightly, though it is not yet evening. The valley behind them becomes quiet again. Vultures may circle far off. Flies follow for a while. The hunters keep moving. At camp, the first sign is not the people. It is the smell. Those waiting near the shelter know before they see the group clearly. Children run to the edge, then are called back. Adults stand. The gatherers look up from sorting roots. The flint knapper pauses with stone in hand. The whole camp feels the return of luck. A successful hunt changes the evening. There will be fresh meat. There will be fat. There will be hide to work. There will be bone, sinew, and story. There will also be sharing, and sharing is where the social meaning of the hunt becomes visible. A hunter who keeps too much becomes small in the eyes of others. A generous distribution strengthens reputation. The animal feeds the band, but the act of giving feeds trust. The meat is divided, not randomly, not always equally in a simple sense. Rules of kinship, need, contribution, age, obligation, and custom shape the portions. The elder receives. Children receive. The injured receive. The successful hunter receives honor, but honor is not the same as hoarding. In small communities, greed leaves a smell sharper than smoke. The fire is fed. Meat roasts slowly. Roots from the gathering are placed near embers. Berries wait in leaves. Fat drips and hisses. Smoke thickens. Children hover too close and are moved back. Dogs are proto-dogs. If present, watch with the most sincere attention any creature has ever given to human cooking. The story begins before the eating is done. This is how a hunt becomes memory. Not only food, not only success, a teaching tale. Yoke, a warning about wind. A record of who stayed calm. A reminder that the land gave, but not without effort. Children listen with shining faces, chewing slowly, storing a story alongside taste. Tomorrow they may play at hunting, with sticks and in pop, falling dramatically into dust. The animal has entered the group, into bellies, into tools, into clothing, into story, into the next day. Night leans closer. The camp grows warm around the fire. The hunters, tired now that the work is safe, sit with the strange stillness that follows intense effort. Muscles tremble lightly. Hands smell of smoke and earth. The young one finally laughs at the frog story, because enough meat has healed his pride. The day has shown the other side of survival. Gathering is continuity. Hunting is risk. Both belong. Neither alone explains the life of early humans. They ate from plant knowledge and animal knowledge, from patience and pursuit, from baskets and spears, from elders and trackers, from roots hidden under soil and hooves printed in mud. The old world was dangerous, but danger was not chaos when people knew how to read it. The firelight moves over the faces of the band. Tools lie nearby, dulled by use, ready to be repaired. Hides wait to be scraped. Bones wait to become points or needles. The hunt has ended, but the work of turning its gifts into future survival is just beginning. The camp, after a successful hunt, does not become still. It becomes busier in a quieter way. The loudest part of the day has passed. The chase is over. The animal has been brought in. The first food has been shared. Children have been warned back from the fire more times than anyone can count. The hunters sit with that loose heaviness that comes after effort, when the body has not yet decided whether it is proud, hungry, or simply tired. But around them, the second work begins. Stone taps stone. A sound like small, dry rain. At the edge of the firelight, a flint napper sits, with a core in one hand and a hammerstone in the other. He is not looking at the meat. Not because he is indifferent to it. Nobody is indifferent to roasted meat. But because the hunt has used tools, dulled edges, broken points, and created new needs. A successful animal gives food, but it also gives future work. Hide must be scraped, sinew cleaned, bones shaped, points replaced, scrapers sharpened, needles made, cord repaired. The day feeds tomorrow, if the hands know what to do. The flint core rests against a folded hide on his knee. It is not just any stone. It was chosen. Good stone has a character. Flint, tiered, obsidian in some places, fine-grained rocks that break with sharp, controlled edges. A bad stone shatters sulkily and wastes time. A good stone listens. At least, that is how the napper seems to treat it. He turns it slowly. The firelight moves across the surface. One side catches a pale shine. Another side has an old scar from a strike made earlier. His thumb rests near the place where the next flake may come away. He studies angles the way a tracker studies mud. The stone already contains possible blades, but only if the hand asks correctly. Then he strikes. A clear sound. A flake leaps off and lands in dust. The edge is sharp enough to open skin by accident, so no child is allowed to grab it, which of course makes every child in camp want to grab it. The napper lifts the flake, turns it, runs a careful thumb near the edge without cutting himself. He nods slightly. Not dramatic satisfaction. The small private approval of skill behaving as expected. Stone tool-making is not brute force. It is geometry in the hand. Strike too hard, and the core breaks badly. Strike too soft, and nothing useful happens. Strike at the wrong angle, and the flake is thick, clumsy, wasted. The mind must see into the stone before the strike lands. That takes years. It takes watching, failing, bleeding a little, being corrected, trying again. Nearby, a boy imitates with a useless pebble. He hits it too hard. The pebble jumps away and nearly strikes his own foot. Someone laughs. Not cruelly. Well, perhaps a little cruelly, because ancient people were still people. The napper gives him a different stone and shows where to hit. The boy concentrates so intensely his mouth opens. He strikes again. This time a small flake comes away. Not useful, but real. The boy grins. A tiny piece of future has been made. Craft is how survival becomes culture. A blade can cut meat. A scraper can clean hide. A burren can work bone. A drill can open a shell bead. A needle can sew clothing. A point can become part of a spear. Each tool is practical, but each also carries identity. The way a point is shaped, the style of a scraper, the material chosen, the pattern of wear, all these can tell trained eyes where a person learned, who taught them, what group they belong to, what kind of work the tool has seen. A tool is memory held in the hand. On the other side of the fire, hide, work begins. The animal's skin has been stretched and held. A woman, perhaps the best hide worker in the group, takes up a scraper. The hide is heavy, still carrying the smell of animal warmth and the plain. It must be cleaned, softened, worked, smoked, preserved. If neglected, it stiffens, rots, or becomes useless. If treated properly, it becomes clothing, bedding, bags, straps, shelter, cover, carrying sling, child wrap, or trade object. She presses the scraper down and pulls. A wet, rasping sound. Again. Again. The rhythm is steady, almost soothing if one does not have to do it for hours. Bits come away. The surface changes slowly. Her shoulders move with controlled strength. This is not a task for someone without patience. Hide must be persuaded too, like roots, like stone, like people. A younger girl watches. Her hands twitch with the wish to help. She is given a smaller piece, less important, already partly cleaned. She scrapes too shallowly, then too hard. The elder adjusts her wrist. The correction is wordless at first, then a few quiet words. Feel the resistance. Let the edge do the work. Do not fight it. The same advice again. So many ancient skills seem to whisper it. Do not fight the material. Listen to it. The hide will later be softened. Brain tanning may be used in some cultures and periods. Because animal brains contain oils that help preserve and soften skin. Smoke may help protect it. Fat may be rubbed in. It may be stretched and worked again and again until it changes from raw skin into something flexible, durable, almost cloth-like. The process is long. It smells strong. It makes hands ache. It is one of those labors that modern people often forget when looking at a finished garment and thinking only, how simple. Nothing useful was simple for long. A bone needle lies near the worker. Small, polished, beautiful. A hole at one end, a point carefully shaped. It is not crude. It is elegant in the quiet way of an object that fits its purpose exactly. With such a needle, softened hide can become tailored clothing, not just wrapped skins, but fitted garments, seams, coverings for feet, hands, bodies. Clothing is survival technology. It holds heat, blocks wind, prevents injury, carries identity, and allows people to live in cold places that would otherwise refuse them. Someone threads sinew. The thread is pale, tough, slightly glossy. It came from the animal, too. Nothing important is wasted. Bone, hide, fat, sinew, antler, teeth, claws, all may become part of human life. The animal does not vanish into the stomach only. It continues as tool, garment, ornament, story. A man carves antler with a stone burin. The work is slow. Antler is dense, fibrous, resistant. He scrapes, turns, scrapes again. A point begins to emerge. Perhaps it will become a spear tip, perhaps a harpoon head, perhaps a tool for working other tools. The sound is softer than flint, more intimate. Dust gathers on his fingers. He blows it away. The firelight catches the pale curve. Near him, someone warms resin. Pine resin, perhaps mixed with charcoal and other materials, can become adhesive. It smells sharp and forested when heated, a scent that seems to bring the trees into the camp. The sticky mixture is used for hafting. Joining stone points to wooden shafts, binding materials into something stronger than either part alone. A good tool is often a marriage of materials. Stone for edge, wood for reach, resin for hold, sinew for binding, hand for knowledge. A spear point is reset. The shaft is smoothed, the point aligned, resin pressed into place, sinew wrapped tight. The worker checks the angle, then sightlines down the shaft, turning it slightly. The weapon is not only dangerous, it is carefully composed. Children watch this too. They absorb without realizing how much they absorb. A child who sees hafting for years may one day repair a weapon in the field without thinking. A child who hears the sound of good flint may know bad stone before wasting time. A child who watches beads drilled may understand patience before language can explain it. Beads are being made in the afternoon light. This work is small enough that the eye has to soften. Shells, teeth, small stones, bone fragments, perhaps ivory in some regions, are shaped and pierced. The drilling is slow. A tiny hole must pass through without splitting the piece. Fingers hold carefully. The drill turns. Dust gathers. A bead is born almost invisibly. Why make beads? A harsh survival story has no room for that question, because it imagines early humans as too busy not dying to care about beauty. But the archaeological record refuses such a narrow picture. People made ornaments. They used ochre. They pierced shells. They wore teeth, Beads, pigment, patterns. They marked bodies and objects with meaning. Beauty was not extra. Beauty was social. A bead can say, I belong. I remember. I have skill. I have traveled. I have received something from another group. Imon. I celebrate. I am old enough. I am ready. I carry the animal. I carry the sea. I am seen. A shell bead far from the coast is a message of movement or exchange. An ochre-stained object says color mattered. A carefully drilled tooth says the hand had time to do more than survive. It had time to signify. Honestly, I think a bead may be one of the strongest arguments against the dull version of prehistory. A starving caricature does not sit patiently for hours to drill beauty into a shell. A human being does. The Campan afternoon is full of such small industry. Stone tapping, hide scraping, resin warming, children arguing over who owns a stick that clearly belonged to no one until the argument began. A baby sleeping against a hip while hands keep working. An elder telling the same tool story for the third time because someone is finally old enough to understand why the mistake mattered. Craft turns time into future. A scraper made today cleans tomorrow's hide. A needle shaped today sews winter clothing. A basket repaired today carries roots in the next valley. A bead made today may be worn at a gathering months away, catching the eye of someone from another band. A sharpened point today may decide a hunt later. A cord twisted now may bind shelter in rain. None of this is separate from culture. The hand making a tool is also making a person. Passion. Skilled. Known. Corrected. Proud. Useful. Sometimes admired. Perhaps teased. Perhaps remembered long after death by the style of their work. The sun lowers slightly. The work does not stop all at once. It loosens. A scraper is set down. A child finally succeeds in making a tiny, useless flake and shows everyone with unreasonable pride. The hide worker rubs her wrist. The napper closes his hand around the best blade of the day and places it carefully where it will not be stepped on. The bead maker strings a few small pieces and holds them to the light. The strand is simple. It is also astonishing. In a world without metal, writing, wheels, or cities, someone has made a line of beauty that can rest against skin and say, I am human. The fire is fed again. Smoke lifts through late light. The tools, Eid, bonus, and ornaments around the camp show what the day has become. Not only food gathering, not only hunting, transformation. The world enters as stone, skin, antler, shell, resin, wood, fiber, and leaves as blade, robe, cord, bead, spear, basket, needle. That is the deep human art, taking what is given and making it more answerable to the body. The old camp settles toward evening. Work has been done. Food exists for now. Tools are drying or cooling or waiting. The fire holds. The children are restless. The adults are tired, but not finished with living. Soon the camp will drift toward rest, play, grooming, music, laughter, and story. Because early humans did not only make tools to stay alive, they also made time worth inhabiting. After the tools are set down, the camp does not become useless. It becomes human in another way. This is the part that the old, brutal picture often forgets. It imagines early people waking in fear, hunting all day, fighting at sunset, collapsing in darkness, and then doing it again until death. That picture has a hard little drama to it, which is perhaps why it has lasted so long. But the evidence from modern hunter-gatherer comparisons and from archaeology itself suggests a wider life. Work mattered. Danger mattered. Hunger mattered. Yet many people in foraging societies also had long stretches of unstructured time. Time to sit. Time to speak. Time to watch. Time to make something beautiful for no immediate meal. Time to play. The afternoon light is warm now. Smoke curls upward from the fire and loosens into the open air. The hard tasks of the day have softened around the edges. Roots have been brought in. Meat has been shared. A hide has been scraped. Points have been repaired. The baskets are not empty. And for this moment, that is enough. Enough creates leisure. Not luxury. Leisure. There is a difference. Luxury is excess stored around the body. Leisure is space around the mind. A person can have no palace, no silver, no written name, no chair, no pillow shaped by a merchant, and still have an afternoon where the world does not demand everything at once. A woman lies in the shade with one arm over her eyes. A child pokes at dust with a stick. Two teenagers toss small stones toward a mark on the ground and pretend not to care who wins, which means they care intensely. An older man cleans under his nails with the tip of a sliver of bone. Someone picks through another person's hair, slowly, carefully, removing bits of dirt, insects, burrs, and whatever the day has left behind. Grooming is not only hygiene, it is social repair. Fingers moving through hair say, "Stay close. I trust you near my head. You trust me near yours." The touch is practical, but also intimate. It calms the body. It lowers tension. It allows conversation to drift without the pressure of face-to-face seriousness. Many primates groom. Humans do too, but we also add words, jokes, stories, complaints, and the soft little sounds that mean affection without declaring itself. A child climbs over the legs of an adult who is trying to rest. The adult groans, lifts the child away, and sets them down. The child immediately returns, because persistence is another ancient human trait. Someone laughs. Someone else tells the child to go practice throwing stones before they are fed to the wolves, which is not likely to happen, but it gets the child moving. Play spreads. Children play at hunting, gathering, hiding, stalking, carrying, falling, and pretending to be animals. One child becomes a deer and runs very badly. Another becomes a hunter and throws a stick nowhere near the target. A smaller child declares themselves a lion, though everyone agrees the roar needs work. The adults watch with half attention, but the watching matters. Too far toward the trees, a voice calls them back. Too close to the fire, a hand redirects. Play is freedom with invisible edges. Through play, children learn the body, balance, aim, trust, risk. So Shao rules. How hard to push. When laughter becomes anger. When a pretend fight is no longer pretend. No one has invented a classroom, but the camp is full of lessons. A small, carved object rests in the dust. Maybe a toy. Maybe a teaching object. Maybe something we would misread entirely if it survived in a museum drawer. A child spins a flat stone and watches it wobble. Another arranges pebbles into lines, then destroys them. A third draws with a stick in ash. Animals, perhaps, or nothing at all. The line vanishes when a foot passes through it, but while it exists, it is a thought outside the mind. Leisure lets thoughts leave the body. That may be one of its oldest gifts. Music comes later in the afternoon, not as performance with a stage, but as sound entering ordinary space. Someone taps two sticks together. Another answers with a hollow beat on a piece of wood or bone. A rhythm forms. It is uneven at first, then catches. A child jumps to it. A woman hums. Someone produces a bone flute or a simple pipe, if this is a place and time where such an instrument is known. The first notes are thin, breathy, almost bird-like. The camp changes. Music does that. A few tones can make people look up from separate thoughts. Rhythm gathers bodies. Feet shift. Hands tap thighs. A child spins until dizzy and falls into the dust. Another child finds this so funny that the first one does it again on purpose. Adults pretend to disapprove, but badly. Bone flutes from the Upper Paleolithic tell us that music was not a late luxury. People made instruments. They shaped hollow bones, pierced holes, tested breath, listened for notes. That takes time and desire. It also takes social meaning. Music can call, soothe, coordinate, excite, mourn, invite, trance, accompany dance, and hold memory in pattern. A tune can carry what speech cannot. The flute rises over smoke. A low tapping keeps time. Someone begins a song with words perhaps older than any language we know. We cannot understand them. We should not pretend we can. But we can understand the human act. Voice lifted in company. Breath shaped for others. Sound made not because it fills the stomach directly, but because the human body is not satisfied by calorie alone. Honestly, I think that may be one of the clearest truths about us. Give humans fire, food, and 1 free hour, and sooner or later someone will make noise on purpose. Then stories begin. Not the great night stories yet. Perhaps not the long, sacred ones reserved for darkness. Afternoon stories are looser. A joke about the frog that startled the young hunter. An exaggeration of how heroic someone was while doing very little. A warning about a bad mushroom told with enough disgust to make children remember. A teasing account of the child who tried to carry a basket and had to be carried along with it. Story is social glue. It protects memory from drying out. Facts alone can break. A story bends. It carries emotion, warning, identity, laughter, shame, admiration. If a child remembers that the wrong mushroom made someone miserable in a story, the child may avoid it when no adult is watching. If a hunter hears again how wind betrayed the group, the lesson stays. If generosity is praised in story, generosity grows a little safer. If greed is mocked, greed becomes costly. In a small band, reputation is law without walls. Leisure is where reputation is shaped. Around the fire, people talk. They talk about food, weather, dreams, aches, other bands, tools, children, animals, place, the dead, and who did something foolish. Gossip is often treated as small and petty, but in a world without police, contracts, or written courts, gossip helps regulate behavior. It tells everyone who can be trusted, who shares, who boasts, who sulks, who takes more than their portion, who is generous when no one is watching. Words are invisible tools. They cut less obviously than flint, but sometimes deeper. The body decoration begins near the shade. Ochre is ground into powder. Red, yellow, brown, depending on the mineral. It may be mixed with fat, water, plant juice, or other binders. A person dips fingers into the color and draws a line across skin. Another marks the face. Someone darkens hair or hides. A shell pendant is adjusted on a cord. A tooth ornament rests against the chest. These acts are slow, unhurried, and full of attention. Why decorate? Because the body is also a message. A mark may mean age, kinship, mourning, courtship, role, celebration, or simply the pleasure of being seen. A bead may tell of travel. Ochre may connect to blood, earth, transformation, beauty, death, or all of those at once. We cannot always know, but we know people cared enough to gather pigments, grind them, store them, carry them, and use them again. The hand paints the forearm. The skin changes. The person is still the same person, and not quite. That is the magic of adornment. A young person leans forward, while an older one applies ochre carefully near the cheek. The younger tries to stay solemn and fails when the brush tickles. The older sighs in a way that says dignity is difficult to produce from this material. Others laugh. The mark is corrected. The moment becomes part of memory. Nearby, grooming continues. Music fades, then returns. A child sleeps suddenly in the shade, as children do after insisting they are not tired. A dog-like animal, perhaps, circles near the fire and settles where scraps may later appear. Someone watches clouds without speaking. The clouds move slowly, changing shape over the ridge. No immediate purpose, No message, perhaps. Just movement. Just sky. Modern people sometimes struggle with purposeless watching. The ancient camp may not have. Watching clouds, ants, birds, flowing water, fire, and the faces of others is not wasted time when attention is the main instrument of survival. The person who watches for no immediate reason may notice something useful later. The child who studies ants learns paths, cooperation, food, smallness. The adult who watches fire learns wind. The elder who watches faces knows conflict before words sharpen. Stillness is not emptiness. It is data entering quietly. The late afternoon becomes golden. Light catches dust. Smoke thins. The air smells of warmed hide, ash, berries, and human skin. The band has no written schedule, but everyone senses that the day is turning. Energy changes. Children move closer to the fire without being told. Tools are gathered before shadow hides them. Food is checked. Someone looks toward the shelter of the night. There is time for one more song. This one slower. The flute does not sound lonely because others are listening. A tapping beat joins, then fades. A voice hums. The sound moves out from the camp into grass, trees, stones, and evening air. No monument holds it. No tablet records it. It vanishes as soon as it is made. Yet while it exists, it makes the group one body. That is enough. Leisure has done its work. It has rested sore muscles. It has trained children through play. It has repaired trust through grooming. It has carried lessons through jokes. It has marked identity with ochre and beads. It has turned spare breath into music. It has allowed people to exist, not only produce. This is the truth hidden beneath the old question of what early humans did all day. They worked. Yes. They gathered, hunted, scraped, cut, carried, cooked, watched, planned, and repaired. But they also sat. They played. They sung. They painted their skin. They told stories that made danger memorable and life bearable. They watched clouds move across a sky with no clock in it. As evening draws closer, the camp begins to fold inward. The play grows quieter. The fire becomes more important. Food is prepared for the night. The open day, with its wide paths and scattered tasks, returns toward the circle. And in that circle, the social world will reveal itself most clearly, because the oldest human technology is not stone, fire, or spear. It is one another. The oldest human technology is not stone. It is the circle around the fire, the circle of faces known in darkness, the circle of voices that can recognize one another even before shape returns to the eyes. In a small band of early humans, perhaps 20 people, perhaps 30, perhaps 50, when times are good and families gather, survival does not belong to the strongest person alone. It belongs to the relationships between people. You can feel that as evening closes around the camp. The light has softened. The children are tired in the uneven way children become tired. still moving, still talking, still insisting they are not tired while their heads begin to lean against any warm body nearby. The adults are gathering tools. Food is being prepared. Someone checks the fire. Someone else looks toward the tree line. The day has widened and narrowed again. Gathering, hunting, craft, play, rest, music, all of it returns now to the central warmth. The band is small enough that everyone knows everyone too well. That can be comfort. It can also be trouble. A person knows the sound of each footstep, the cough of an elder, the laugh of a young woman, the way a certain man clears his throat before disagreeing, the way a child lies badly when caught with berries, the generosity of one aunt, the laziness of one cousin, the temper of one hunter, the quiet skill of one old woman whose eyes miss little. There is no anonymity here, no disappearing into a crowd, no reinventing yourself in another district after a foolish afternoon. If you behave badly, people remember. If you share well, people remember that too. Reputation is not written down, but it moves through the camp like smoke. It touches everyone. It affects who trusts you, who helps you, who laughs with you, who sits near you, who listens when you speak. Gossip is not small in a world like this. It is social weather. A quarrel begins near the edge of the shelter. Nothing grand, nothing worthy of later myth. Someone believes another person took a better portion of meat than was proper. The accused insists the portion was given. The first voice rises. A child turns to watch. Another adult looks away in that very human way that means they are listening completely. In a large, modern world, a quarrel may be private for a while. In a band of 30, it belongs to everyone almost immediately. An elder speaks. Not loudly. The elder does not need volume. The authority comes from memory. This person has seen storms, births, failed hunts, bad winters, foolish fights, dangerous pride, and the long cost of letting anger split a camp. The elder reminds one person of a previous sharing, reminds another of a debt, adds a little humor, soft enough not to insult, sharp enough to let the crowd breathe. Someone snorts. The child laughs before knowing if it is allowed. The tension loosens. Conflict is dangerous because the band is small. A feud can ruin cooperation. A split can make everyone weaker. If two adults refuse to travel together, who watches the children when others gather? If one hunter withholds help, who carries the injured? If a family leaves at the wrong season, do they survive the next cold spell? Social peace is not politeness. It is infrastructure. The elder knows this. Everyone knows this. That is why teasing matters. Why joking matters. Why apology matters. Why shared meals matter. They are small tools for repairing the circle before it breaks. A grandmother sits near the fire with a child against her side. She may not be the mother of that child. It hardly matters at the moment. Human children are demanding, slow-growing, noisy, helpless for a long time. and astonishingly good at making adults reorganize their lives. No single mother alone could easily carry all of that in a foraging world. So care spreads. Mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunts, older siblings, cousins, unrelated adults who are simply there and competent enough to keep a child from eating something tragic. This shared care may be one of the great secrets of human success. A child is fed by one person, cleaned by another, scolded by a third, entertained by a fourth, carried by someone who pretends not to enjoy it, and watched by everyone when they wander too close to the fire. A small body survives because many eyes protect it. The grandmother hums while working a chord. Her fingers twist fibers with slow skill. The child watches the movement, sleepy but fascinated. The song has no sharp edges. It may be a lullaby. It may be a work tune. It may be no more than a sound made because the hands are busy and the heart is near someone small. Across thousands of generations, such sounds have helped children settle into the human world. Elders are not burdens in a simple sense. They are libraries. An elder may no longer run well, may not carry heavy meat, may need help in winter, but the elder remembers where water remained during a dry season, which valley held berries after the late frost, which mushroom harmed a man long ago, which neighboring group can be trusted, which star pattern means the cold will deepen, which child has the patience to learn tools, which young adult carries anger too near the surface. Memory feeds the group, not as quickly as meat, but perhaps as deeply. A young person sits near the elder, pretending not to listen and listening to every word. The elder tells of a hard year. The story is not entertainment only. It is a map of disaster. In that year, the river shifted. The herd moved early. The roots near the marsh failed. People who waited too long went hungry. The group survived because one woman remembered another valley beyond the ridge. The young person may roll the eyes because young people have always believed old stories take too long. Still, the story enters. One day it may save them. Language is the net holding all this together. Warning, yoke, plan, song, insult, apology, memory, myth, flirtation, lullaby, trade, grief, all pass through the mouth and become shared. Without language, a track can be seen by one person. With language, the track becomes group knowledge. Without story, a dangerous plant harms once and may be forgotten. With story, the plant becomes famous enough to avoid. Without joking, conflict hardens. With joking, anger can sometimes leave by a side door. Language is not only speech. It is survival extended beyond one skull. Seasonal gatherings widen the circle. At certain times, bands may meet where food is abundant, near rivers, rich valleys, coastal places, or migration routes. The quiet camp becomes a larger human world. New faces, new voices, new ornaments, new songs, old alliances renewed, young people noticing one another too carefully and pretending not to. Trade goods appear on hides. Shells from far coasts, stone from distant outcrops, ochre of a color not found nearby, fine blades, antler tools, beads, stories about places beyond the known hills. Information is traded too, where herds moved, which group had sickness, which valley burned, which plants came early. Trade is not only exchange of objects, it is exchange of worlds. A shell bead far inland tells of routes across landscapes and relationships beyond the small band. Early humans were not trapped in tiny sealed bubbles. They moved, met, exchanged, remembered, and carried traces of one another. Death also belongs to the circle. When someone dies, the band changes shape. A sleeping place remains empty. A voice is gone from the morning. A certain laugh does not answer the joke. A skilled hand no longer repairs the cord or names the plant. The body must be treated, not thrown away like refuse. Across many Paleolithic sites, burials suggest care, though interpretations vary and we must be cautious. Some bodies were placed with ochre, some with tools, ornaments, animal bones, flowers, perhaps in debated cases. The evidence whispers that the dead mattered. Imagine a burial at the edge of the camp or in a place known to the group. Red ochre stains the hands of those who prepare the body. The color is bright against pale skin, dark earth, bone, hide, whatever the place gives. It may mean blood, life, return, transformation, or something we cannot recover. A shell bead is placed near the chest, a tool near the hand. A child watches from behind an adult, not fully understanding, but understanding enough to stay quiet. No one explains everything. Perhaps no one can. The body is arranged. Earth is moved. The band waits. Grief in a small group is not private. It changes labor. It changes food sharing. It changes stories. The dead remain in memory because too many daily things remind the living. Here is where she sat. Here is the scraper he made. Here is the song she used to hum when children would not sleep. Here is the ridge he warned us never to cross in fog. In such a world, the dead may not feel fully gone. They remain as instruction, as warning, as presence. The fire at night holds faces of the living and, in memory, the faces of those who once sat there. This is one reason stories deepen around evening. Darkness enlarges absence. Firelight makes old voices easier to imagine. A person telling a story may use the words of someone dead, and for a little while the circle widens backward through time. Community is not merely emotional. It is the master technology. Stone tools cut. Fire warms. Spears reach. Baskets carry. But community coordinates all of them. Without trust, the hunt fails. Without teaching, the plant knowledge dies. Without sharing, one injury becomes a death sentence. Without elders, old disasters repeat. Without children, the future empties. Without language, Knowledge stays trapped in the person who learned it. The band is the tool that uses all other tools. Night gathers slowly now. The quarrel has faded into low conversation. The grandmother still twists cord, though the child beside her has fallen asleep with one hand gripping a fold of hide. The young people who noticed one another at the last gathering sit too far apart in a way that fools nobody. The elder watches the fire. A hunter rubs a sore ankle. Someone passes a strip of roasted root. Someone else tells the story of the foolish frog again, and the young hunter accepts his fate with dignity that is almost convincing. The circle is not perfect. No human circle ever has been. There is jealousy, laziness, desire, fear, memory of insults, unequal skill, hunger sharpening tempers, grief making someone difficult, children being children, elders being elders. But the circle holds because holding is survival. The firelight falls on familiar faces. Every face is known. Every face is needed, though some perhaps more loudly than others. Beyond the fire, the dark land continues. Animals move. Wind touches grass. Stars emerge one by one. The band settles closer, carrying into night the social knowledge that has held the day together. Who is angry? Who is tired? Who needs extra food? Who should not be left alone too long? Who must be watched near the fire? Who will tell the first story? The ancient human day is nearing its deepest layer now. Not food, not tools, not even the group itself. Meaning, the need to make the world speak back. Soon, the cave wall, the ochre hand, the painted animal, the song, the burial, the sky, and the fire will gather into one last quiet question. Not only how did early humans survive, but how did they understand being alive? Before the night becomes sleep, the world becomes symbolic. That may sound like a large word for a small fire, but the feeling is simple. A human being does not only need meat, roots, warmth, and shelter. A human being needs the world to mean something. The animal in the valley was not only food. The storm was not only weather. The dead were not only gone. The stars were not only lights. The painted wall was not only stone, meaning gathered around early humans the way smoke gathers under a cave ceiling. You can see it in the ochre on the hand. Red powder stains the fingertips. It came from earth, from mineral color carried carefully, ground, mixed, stored, valued. A person presses a palm against stone and blows pigment around it, or paints beside it, or draws the shape of an animal from memory and desire. The hand is removed. The mark remains. A negative of the body. A sign that says, someone was here. Though perhaps that is too small. Perhaps it says, I belong to this place. Perhaps it says, this place knows me. Perhaps it says nothing we can translate, but still it speaks. The cave is deep. Not every painted image is near the entrance where daylight can reach. Some are far inside, where the path narrows, where footing becomes uncertain, where torchlight is needed and the air changes. That matters. To paint in such a place is not casual. It takes preparation, fire, pigment, companions, knowledge of the route, willingness to enter the dark. Imagine the passage inward. The firebrand trembles. Smoke curls against the ceiling. The stone walls breathe cold against the skin. Footsteps sound different underground, smaller and larger at once. A child may not be brought here, or perhaps a child is brought exactly because learning begins in fear held safely. A person ahead lifts the flame, and the wall awakens. Bison, horses, deer, lions, mammoths, aurochs, animals moving across stone as if the cave itself dreamed them. The painter does not need modern perspective to make life appear. A curve of back, a line of neck, horns angled just so, legs layered to suggest movement. The wall bulges, and the body of the animal uses that bulge. The crack in the stone becomes the edge of a shoulder. A shadow becomes depth. The animal has not been copied from a photograph. It has been known from hunger, respect, fear, pursuit, and long watching. Some scholars argue these paintings taught hunting. Some see ritual. Some see shamanic journeys, altered states, animal spirits, memory, initiation, or the beauty of the human mind playing with line and flame. It is debated, and we should let it remain open. But whatever their exact purpose, the paintings show one thing clearly. Early humans did not live only on the surface of need. They entered darkness to make images. That is not a small thing. A person whose life is only panic does not crawl deep into earth to paint a horse with care. The torchlight moves. The painted animals seem to move with it. A horse steps when the flame shifts. A bison lowers its head. A lion seems to emerge from stone, then sink back. The people watching may feel the cave become alive. Not alive as a museum display is alive under a label, but alive as a place where the boundary between seen and unseen thins. The cave is not entertainment only. It is a chamber of attention. Above ground, the evening meal is being prepared. The fire has become the center again. Roots are pulled from ash. Meat is warmed. Berries are passed in leaves. Fat hiss on hot stone. Smoke carries the day upward. The social accounting of food begins. Who brought what? Who needs more? Who is old? Who is small? Who did not eat enough earlier? Who shared yesterday? Who must be reminded to share today? Generosity is not vague here. It can be watched. A piece of meat placed into the hand of an elder says one thing. A berry slipped to a child says another. A portion saved for someone resting with injury says another. Food distribution is social memory made visible. The meal repairs the day. It smooths quarrels. It rewards effort. It exposes greed. It reminds everyone that survival is plural. The child who carried too many useless stones in the basket is given roasted root and looks deeply wronged that it is not berry. An adult pretends not to understand the tragedy. Another adult gives half a berry anyway, because justice and mercy have always negotiated near the fire. The camp laughs. Then the laughter fades into chewing, low talk, the crackle of burning wood. Bed building begins before full dark. People gather grasses, leaves, hides, soft branches, whatever the place offers. A sleeping place is not random. The very young go where warmth and watchfulness gather. Elders are placed where the ground is kinder and drafts are weaker. People in tension may be separated a little, because sleep beside resentment is not restful. Partners settle near one another. Children try to choose places that make no sense and are moved with varying degrees of patience. Grass is shaken out. A hide is spread. Another hide is folded. Hands press the bedding, testing for stones beneath. A child lies down too early and is lifted so the work can continue. Someone mutters. Someone else smiles. The body wants softness, but the earth must be negotiated into giving it. As night grows, vigilance returns. The fire is fed higher than in afternoon. Its light pushes the dark outward, but not away. Beyond the ring, animals move. Some are harmless. Some are not. Hyenas in one region, wolves in another, lions in another, bears in some places. The exact danger changes with time and land, but the edge is always there. Fire is boundary, not fortress. A thorn barrier may help. A chosen watch place may help. Dogs or early wolf-like companions may help in some later contexts, depending on time and region. We should be cautious about placing them everywhere, but the possibility is powerful. An animal sleeping near the human fire, hearing what humans miss, smelling what approaches, offering warmth and warning. A child rests near its flank. The animal opens one eye toward the dark, then closes it again. The stars come out. No electric haze hides them. The sky is crowded, thick, almost overwhelming. The Milky Way spreads like pale dust. The moon, if present, turns stones silver. If absent, the fire becomes all the more important. People look upward and see not empty space, but pattern. Animals, perhaps. Paths, perhaps. Ancestors, perhaps. Stories tied to stars, so the sky itself becomes memory. Someone begins the deeper story. Not the frog joke now. Something older. A story of how the animal people once spoke, or how a great herd crossed the sky, or why the moon changes, or why the dead must be treated carefully, or how a foolish hunter ignored a sign and paid for it. We cannot know the words. We should not invent too confidently. But we know the function. The story gathers fear, knowledge, wonder, and social law into a shape people can carry. The voice is low. The fire listens. Children lean into adults. Adults look into flame. The painted cave, the burial, the animal, the star, the hunt, the plant warning, the memory of the dead. All of it can enter story and become more than separate events. Story is the thread that ties the day to the world. Music may return quietly. A hum, a tapping rhythm, a bone flute perhaps, thin as bird call. Not enough to wake the whole camp, only enough to let the night settle more gently. The tune moves through smoke and disappears. No recording. No written score. Only bodies remembering, then forgetting, then remembering differently tomorrow. This is the part modern life often loses. The day does not end by collapsing into private glowing boxes. It ends by gathering, by watching the same fire, by hearing the same story, by knowing that every breath nearby belongs to someone whose life is tied to yours. Progress has given us many mercies. Warm rooms, medicine, light at a touch, food stored beyond seasons, safe births, at least more often than before, clean water, books, music from across the world. It would be foolish to pretend the old life was easier. It was dangerous. A cut could kill. A bad winter could hollow the group. Childbirth was perilous. Hunger could return with very little warning. The dark outside the fire was not poetic to the person who heard a predator there. And yet, something spacious lived there too. The source of the old question returns. What did early humans do all day? They woke slowly. They read the weather. They shared food. They gathered roots and berries with expert care. They hunted when signs and need aligned. They made tools. They scraped hides. They drilled beads. They played. They groomed. They sung. They argued and repaired the argument. They cared for children who belonged to everyone. They listened to elders. They met other bands. They buried their dead. They painted animals in the dark. They watched stars. They slept in circles. They did not only survive, they inhabited time. That may be the final quiet truth. Time before civilization was not empty. It was not automatically peaceful, and not automatically brutal. It was weather, hunger, tenderness, boredom, grief, skill, danger, laughter, beauty, and rest braided together. The day had work, but work did not always swallow the whole soul. The world was demanding, but not scheduled into fragments by machines. Attention could stretch. A person could watch clouds. A child could follow ants. An elder could tell the same story until everyone groaned and still remembered it. The fire is lower now. The camp begins to sleep. One person stays half awake, listening. Another turns under a hide. A child murmurs in a dream. A dog-like companion, if one is there, shifts closer to warmth. Embers pulse red. Smoke thins. The stars wheel slowly overhead, though no one says wheel yet. Perhaps no one needs to. The sky moves. The world breathes. The group rests inside its fragile circle. The painted animals remain in the cave. The ochre hand remains on stone. The burial remains in earth. The bead rests against warm skin. The tools wait near the sleeping place. The baskets are empty or full enough. The story has entered memory. Somewhere beyond the fire, an animal calls. The camp stirs, then settles. The watcher listens a little longer. Nothing approaches. The night becomes safe enough. Not safe forever. Just safe enough. That is all any night can promise. The ancient human breath slows. Not alone. Never entirely alone. In the shelter of bodies, fire, memory, and sky, the day releases its grip. Work can wait until morning. The roots will still need digging. The tools will still need sharpening. The children will still wake too early. The elders will still remember. The world will still be dangerous and generous in uneven measure. For now, the coals glow, the stars remain. The oldest human rhythm returns. Waking, working, sharing, singing, watching, sleeping. Good night.